Hi, so this is no easy task, but as you can tell by the name of the video, it's my top 50 favourite horror movie countdown. So I'm going to go from 50 down to 1 being my favourite. This was very hard to do because I have a lot of favourites, so it was hard to actually put this into a list. But I thought I'd give this difficult task a go, and I managed to compile a list. So sit back and enjoy as I count down my top 50 favourites. Like I say, some films that aren't in the list could have been in like a top 100. It's just my view, it's just my opinion due to my tastes, so it's my personal top 50. This is in no way like necessarily based on the filmmaking or the caliber or merit of the films. It's just my favourites, so whatever I think is in my top 50. It doesn't have anything that I didn't make the list is not necessarily not worthy of being in the top 50. Maybe they'd be your number one in your countdown if you did one, but yeah, just my tastes and preference. So it's going to be quite a long one. This video may go on quite long. I'll try and breeze through it in stages. Might talk about certain movies that I really enjoy a little bit more in more detail. Yeah, anyone who watches and is subscribed, thanks for supporting the channel, like watching and liking and things like that. Want to say thanks to the guys who have taken part in the collector's showcase series which I've started up, and anyone's welcome to come and take part in that. Just get in touch with me via email or in the comments section. But I'd like to thank the guys from the first video, Luke's Film Unboxings, yeah, Luke's Film Unboxings, Stuart George, and I'd like to thank Sean Blue Digital, who's just been in the latest instalment. He did a great video and tour of his collection, showing some of his bits off. That's fantastic. So thanks guys for being a part of that. So now I'm going to crack on with the top 50 favourite horror movies of mine. You will be surprised, there's some big titles that aren't in this top 50 that could have easily been in the top 100, maybe even, you know, like say a 51, 52. They just didn't quite make my personal top 50. Anyway, let's get down to it, and we'll start with at number 50. So coming in at number 50 is an absolute classic directed by Bob Clark. It is Black Christmas from 1974. This is possibly responsible for starting the slasher craze. That's sort of Halloween also ignited in 1978, but Black Christmas is, you know, 4 years older than Halloween itself. So, you know, films like Black Christmas are really pivotal for getting the slasher genre going, the slasher craze going in the early 80s to mid 80s. Yeah, this is a fantastic movie. It's a sort of a proto slasher, if you will. Most horror fans know this one by now. Set at Christmas time. It's about a sorority of young women, and basically they keep getting these sinister phone calls, and they start getting picked off one by one, and there's a crazy killer who's in the house, you know, getting in the house, gaining access and taking them out, and it goes from there really. And yeah, it's quite a creepy one, especially the phone calls. They are quite get under your skin a little bit, especially like the sort of voice the killer uses. But yeah, great movie, and Billy's a great character as well. That's Black Christmas at number 50. Could have been a bit higher, but I decided to go with number 50 for Black Christmas. Number 49 is 1984's comedy slash horror Return of the Living Dead. Never used to like this film, but it's really grew on me over the years, and watching it in 4K from Scream Factory last year, yeah, it went up in my estimation. So that's Return of the Living Dead from 1984 at 49. Yeah, it's got some great scenes in there, some iconic scenes. The zombies are great. The comedic tone's fantastic and suits the film. It's not always over, you know, it's also got a scary kind of vibe to it as well, with the zombies, you know, trying to eat people and get into the morgue. Yeah, some great characters in there, and it's just a joy to watch. Love Return of the Living Dead now. It's grown on me a lot, and that's at number. So a film that's not everybody's cup of tea is number 48 in the countdown, and that is The Babadook. From Australian director Jennifer Kent, I think it is. Yeah, so it's an Australian movie. Like I say, not everybody's to everybody's liking, but it's a really good sort of like modern horror film, I think. Very creepy one, very scary. Has a lot of undertones in there of things like grief and depression, and yeah, I really enjoyed it when I first watched it. It doesn't have the same impact when rewatching it, I don't think. I think the first time watch of this film's the best. It's got some great elements in there, like the storybook that the mother reads to the her child, her boy. She reads him a pop-up book, and it's shows the Babadook coming. You know, he's coming, and he's very sinister and ominous. And what's good about this film as well, sort of left to your interpretation. You've got to figure out whether the Babadook's real or not, or whether he's just a manifestation of the mother and child's grief. Yeah, but that's the Babadook. I think it's a really good modern horror. I think it's from 2014. I may be off a year or two. I think it was a 2014 one. I remember being quite excited when I saw the trailer for this, and I really wanted to watch it, and I managed to get hold of it years ago. Yeah, that's the Babadook. Okay, so I'll try and speed things along a little bit, but coming in at number 47 is John Carpenter's eerie, suspenseful classic, The Fog. On the back here, I know it was around 1980 when it got released. It says 1979 on the back of this 4K, but I'm sure it was 1980. I could be mistaken, but anyway, 1979/1980. It come after Halloween. Yeah, utterly fantastic film. A plethora of atmosphere. It's very ominous and very creepy. The pirate ghosts are very eerie, and like, you know, it's just a good creeper, like especially a good watch for like in the winter time when it's colder and darker. And The Fog really illustrates that well. So absolute masterpiece from John Carpenter, coming in at 47. That's The Fog. Number 46, Lucio Fulci's Zombie. Yeah, gross stuff. It's got brilliant depiction of zombies, brilliant special effects. It's an absolute Italian horror classic. Yeah, I love this film. Loved it when I first watched it. It's not too high in my list, but it's in there, which it means it's really good, like, in my opinion. Yeah, from the late 70s, might be 79, I believe. Came after Dawn of the Dead. Of course, you got the famous scene with the lady being pushed into the sharp, jagged piece of wood, having her eye burst. That's a very famous scene. It's also known as zombie flesh eaters in some countries. Yeah, there you have it, Zombie. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Made a slight mistake on the last entry. I said it was number 47 for Zombie. It's actually number 46. So the last entry was 46 Zombie. I'll throw it up on screen, so any mistakes I make, I'll try and rectify them. Coming in at number 45 though is Cannibal Holocaust. It's a film that some people misinterpreted and thought that it was actual real footage. You could say this is responsible for, you know, creating the genre of mockumentaries. Yeah, it's a fantastic mockumentary about cannibals. And yeah, I believe possibly was it the director and the crew got into some trouble over whether the animal violence and torture was real. They nearly got prosecuted, or they did. I'm not too sure about that. I'll have to do my research or whatever, or someone can let us know in the comments section. I know something went down regarding the depiction of cruelty to animals in this film. Not sure whether the creators actually got prosecuted, but I'm sure they nearly did, possibly, or maybe they did. I need to look into that because I can't quite remember. I watched a documentary about it years ago. I've not gone through the features on this release from last year, but anyway, Cannibal Holocaust. It's just utterly awesome. It's gruesome. It's an impactful film. It's quite a powerful film in its own way because it comes across as so realistic. Yeah, and it's just, yeah, it's really compelling, and that's Cannibal Holocaust at 40. Coming in at 44, Master of Horror, Wes Craven's debut feature, Last House on the Left. Yeah, this is quite an extreme movie. You know, it's got rape in there, some torture, a lot of nasty, gnarly violence. Like I say, it's Wes Craven's feature film. Yeah, it's fantastic, I think. It's a little bit risque and stuff, like, you know, with the rape and that. I'm not a big fan of watching that at all, but thank goodness they don't go more prolonged than they did with that. Regardless though, it's an epic film. It's absolutely brilliant. What a debut feature as well. It's so, like, you can tell it's a low budget one as well, and this sort of like got his career going. Then he went into The Hills Have Eyes after this, which we may see in this list, so you'll have to see if any other Wes Craven films make the list. That's The Last House on the Left at 44. Utterly brilliant. Yeah, really sleazy stuff. The characters are very sleazy. The villains are very dislikable. Yeah, if you haven't seen this one, go check it out because it's a great entry into Wes Craven's filmography. I remember watching this at quite a young age as a young teenager, and yeah, it didn't unsettle me, but yeah, I did find it quite a difficult watch. And number 43 is another Christmas themed horror movie, and that is Silent Night, Deadly Night with Billy the Killer. Yeah, the Santa Claus killer who puts on a Santa outfit and goes and massacres people. Yeah, I think this is a fantastic movie. I only watched it about 4 years ago for the first time, so it's not one of my ones I watched as an younger person. Again, another great 80s horror film, another great 80s slasher from 84. There's a lot of good films from that year in the slasher genre. Yeah, fantastic Christmas movie. Very it's got a very like dirty feel to it, a very grimy sort of Christmas slasher here. And yeah, if you've not seen it, I do recommend, if you like your Christmas horror movies and you want to sprinkle the Christmas season with some good old slasher antics, go for Silent Night, Deadly Night. 42 is one of my favourite sort of Italian, like, sort of giallo films. Don't know if you'd literally class it as a giallo. Well, I suppose it is. That's Hatchet for the Honeymoon, directed by Mario Bava. This is a fantastic edition from 88. This introduced me to the film. I hadn't seen it until this got released nearly a couple of years ago, and yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, it just got a lot of style to it. I'll put this in high regard like I do Blood and Black Lace as well. I think I like this one a little bit more, but I do need to watch Blood and Black Lace again. So I will do when the 4K is released, and maybe my top 50 will change and that'll be in instead of this one. So a bit of a spoiler there, Blood and Black Lace isn't in my top 50, but I do love a lot of Mario Bava's films. And Hatchet for the Honeymoon is no exception, and it is brilliant. And you can see the fantastic cover there on the 88 edition. Number 41 in the countdown is one of the best remakes ever made, I think, directed by David Cronenberg. It's a remake of the classic Vincent Price film. That is his rendition of The Fly, full of gruesome effects. It's quite a harrowing tale what the scientist goes through, Jeff Goldblum's character in becoming and transforming into the human fly. Yeah, really gruesome stuff, but it's a captivating movie, and probably David Cronenberg's best, if not one of them. And getting into the top 40 now. Number 40 is Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, the sequel to the Clive Barker's Hellraiser. This just expands on the universe, and it's arguably as good as the first film. It's fantastic. Characters from the first film return, the Cenobites return, more Cenobite action. You got this guy, this crazy doctor guy. Some of it's got some scenes in a prison and a mental institute. Yeah, the characters are back, and well, some of them, and yeah, it's just great fun. It's great going into their world of Hellraiser, you know, the Hell world and stuff like. And yeah, it's got a lot to do with like the I think it's Leviathan and stuff like their god and things like that, and it's very strange. Not watched it for a few years, so I do need to refresh myself with this one, but I shall do when the 4K sets out later this year. Yeah, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 at 40. Yeah, great film. Great special effects as well. These Cenobites look awesome. This guy's awesome at the end, you know, when he mutates and becomes an Cenobite. Fantastic. Okay, so for the next entry, getting into the sorry, I said before we were getting into the top 40. That was wrong. We were at number 40, so we'd finished the 40, you know, the 40 numbers. We're into the 30 now. We're into the 30s. Okay, I'll try not to complicate things. So we're on number 39. It is 1960 Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now, I sold my standard 4K of this because I'm getting the set in September, so I actually don't own Psycho at the minute. I did own it, obviously. I've had a Blu-ray of it before as well, which I've sold, but I'll be getting the Psycho collection on 4K. I've already pre-ordered that. So number 39 is a fantastic performance from Anthony Perkins in Psycho at 39. Coming in at number 38 is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. So it wasn't well received upon release because it was going to be the start of Halloween becoming an anthology series of films. And Michael Myers wasn't featured like he was in the first two. So, but over the years, it's I think it's grew on a lot of people, and it's become a cult classic. I've started to love it as well. I think it's great. It's definitely a staple of that time of year, Halloween season. It's definitely a staple of my watches. That's Halloween 3 at number 30. At 37 is the original Child's Play, featuring Chucky himself. Yep, the crazy killer doll brought to life through voodoo magic. It's a killer using the doll as a vessel, and creates a lot of carnage. Absolute classic. Love Child's Play. The sequels are great too. None of them actually made the top 50 though, but I do really enjoy them. 36 is 2003's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, remake of the 1974 classic. It's a more grisly, polished version with a lot more gore. But the good thing about this remake, and I think it makes it one of the best remakes ever made, is because they put their own spin on it. I mean, even the family of cannibals have a different name. They're now the Hewitts rather than the Sawyers. So at least this film put its own spin on the franchise, and I think it's great. It's a Michael Bay production from his studio at the time. But one of my favourite remakes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. 35 is Clive Barker's classic twisted tale, Hellraiser, of like love, lust, resurrection, and deceit and, you know, deception. All kinds of things are in there. It's a great genre film, great horror movie. Pinhead's a fantastic character, and the rest of the Cenobites. I call Pinhead a horror legend. He's an icon in my opinion. Doug Bradley does a great job as well at being Pinhead. That's Hellraiser at 35. At number 34, I don't have the disc again because I sold it. I did have a steelbook of this film, but they're bringing out a big deluxe version in September, so I've sold that in anticipation of getting the new one, which I pre-ordered. So at 34 is British horror classic, The Wicker Man. I mean, you've got Christopher Lee in there playing a complete nutcase, and it's brilliantly directed. Very strange film. You really do feel sorry for the cop in it who goes to the island, whose fate is sealed at the end. Yeah, that's The Wicker Man at 34. Brilliant. 33 is a favourite of mine. It is The Devil's Rejects, sequel to The House of Thousand Corpses, directed by Rob Zombie. Yeah, absolute classic now. It's a staple of my watches. Like, I try and get this in every couple of years if I can. It's Rob Zombie's masterpiece. It's a great thrilling road sort of movie set on the road. It's got some gnarly stuff in there, and the characters are just fantastic. It takes the character expansion on characters like Baby and Otis and Captain Spaulding even further than the first film did in the series. At 32, one of the best sequels ever, I think. It's slasher classic Friday the 13th Part 2. You know, featuring Jason Voorhees in his sackhead attire. Yeah, fantastic film. Love the setting. Some good characters in there. Good kills. It's a thrilling ride. Arguably better than the first film. I think the first film just sort of like edges it out slightly a little bit more as being better, but this is great too. Part 2 of Friday the 13th, out of the Scream Factory box set I'm picking these out of. So Friday the 13th gets an entry into the top 50. You'll have to wait and see if any more of the Friday series appears in this countdown. Coming in at 31 is a stunning classic in my opinion, and it's Don't Look Now. Really sort of like eerie, spooky, haunting film. You got a great performance from Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie, I believe it is, who plays his wife in the film. Yeah, it's about grief and loss. They lose their daughter who drowns, and they keep seeing her around Venice, and things take a sinister turn, and it's got an absolute very impactful ending, a very shocking ending if you don't know the ending. Yeah, brilliant film at 31. Don't Look Now. Number 30, Paranormal Activity. So brilliant found footage film, one of my personal favourites. I love the series as a whole. You'll soon see if any more have made it into this countdown. Yeah, it's one of my favourite series. I think the whole how it runs through with Toby the Demon, and how it each film follows on and is another passage through the story of the the resurrection of Toby finding a vessel. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. It's creepy, it's weird. I know it's not everybody's kind of thing, because not everybody likes found footage, but if you're a fan of found footage, I don't think you can really deny Paranormal Activity. And it was a really successful film as well, that was made on a really low budget and had a big turnover at the box office. So Paranormal Activity at number 30. Number 29, George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. So this film is an absolute classic. It's responsible for how zombies are depicted in modern culture and media, as I've probably said before on the channel. Shows Barbara, the character's despair when her brother's killed by a zombie and she has to take refuge with other people in a farmhouse. And it's a phenomenal film. Yeah, really, really great. Absolutely epic. Love this film. The remake's great too, but this one especially, yeah. Coming in at 29 is Night of the Living Dead, the OG. 28, An American Werewolf in London. I'm actually wearing an American Werewolf in London t-shirt today. But anyway, regardless, this film comes in at 28. Yeah, it's an absolute classic. The transformation scene is so iconic. John Landis did a fantastic job. The film's really engaging. It's interesting. It's got good characters, good storytelling. Yeah, absolute. It's a masterpiece, to be fair, in the werewolf genre. Brilliant film, American Werewolf in London. At 27 is Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead. Yeah, this film is just brilliant. It's a great gruesome film. It's pretty it's a masterpiece in my opinion. All three films are in the Gates of Hell trilogy. I think they're all utterly fantastic, and this one makes it into the top 50. And at 26 is another Italian Legends movie, and that is Tenebrae from Dario Argento. Yeah, absolute giallo masterpiece. It's got a great twist in the film. It's got some iconic scenes. It's shot beautifully. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, Tenebrae. An interesting bit of filmmaking here. So there's Tenebrae. Creeping in at number 25 is George A. Romero's Creepshow. Segments written by Stephen King. A whole great cast of actors. Yeah, probably the best anthology ever made. It's arguable anyway, if not. But yeah, I love Creepshow. So many good segments. This is the fantastic new 4K from Scream Factory. Just enhanced my sort of like appreciation for the film even more. It's such a good anthology. It's so much fun as well. The main factor with Creepshow is it's just hell of a good time and loads of fun. Creepshow number 24. 24, Halloween 2. So it's complete continuation of the first film set on the same Halloween night. More Michael Myers getting up to more antics. He's back on the scene. Donald Pleasence is in there as Dr. Loomis. Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. Set in Haddonfield Hospital for the majority of the film, and it's really good. It's as good as the first film, I'd say, in some aspects. But yeah, Halloween 2 at 24, absolutely love it. Fantastic. 23, Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes. So, master of horror Wes Craven did Last House on the Left, and then he came along with another banger of a film, and that's The Hills Have Eyes. It's thrilling, it's scary, sometimes realistic, it's gritty, it's a fight for survival. Yeah, absolute monster of a film, and I have a soft spot for it because I went to the Blockbuster when I was really young, and my mum let me rent Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes, so I picked up 2 Wes Craven films and watched them for the first time. So I do have a bit of a soft spot for Hills Have Eyes, because that's one thing I do remember doing from the days of Video Store, actually going and renting the DVD. So they weren't videos as such, because it was in the early 2000s, I think. So there were DVDs I rented. But yeah, I do have a soft spot for this one because I saw it when I was young and I loved it. Okay, so people who hate this franchise, have no fear, because this is the last time you will see a Paranormal Activity film in the top 50. I only put 2 in there. It's the first one and this one. Coming in at 23, I believe, is Paranormal Activity 3. Yeah, really creepy one. I have a bit of a soft spot for it because I saw it at the cinema with a friend years ago and loved it. Continues the story greatly, and the ending really spooks me with the creepy people in the porch when they start to discover that everything, you know, there's a lot of cult activity to do with witchcraft going on. This film really does take the franchise further in a very scary, sinister direction. But I love Paranormal Activity 3. I love the scares, the way it's made. Yeah, phenomenal found footage film in my opinion. Coming in at number 21, I believe I said Paranormal Activity 3 was 23. It was actually 22, so I made an error there, but I'll put the numbers up on screen as you've been seeing. 21 is Damien Leone's Terrifier. Yeah, I love this character. He's the next horror icon, Art the Clown. It's really gritty and grimy and trashy. It's really trashy horror. I've gone for the first film at number 21. The sequel from last year, Terrifier 2, is arguably better, and I like it more in some ways. It's a better story, the characters are more fleshed out, better new characters and things, more graphic kills. But I have a soft spot for the first film because it's a linear experience. It's a nice, quick, straight to the point slasher movie, so I'm going with the original Terrifier at 21. As you can see, this is the bloody duo. It's got both films in, and I'm really looking forward to the third in the series. And as you can see, at number 20 is classic Alien. The classic, should I say, not classic. So it's the classic Alien, yes, starring Sigourney Weaver, directed by Ridley Scott. This is the original films are more like a horror movie. The rest of the franchise kind of goes in a more action direction. This is very suspenseful and a bit of a slower burn, if you will. I won't exactly call it a slow burn per se, but it's a slow burn kind of. Things pick up throughout the film. I mean, it's got some jarring scenes and things at the, you know, earlier on with the chest burster and things like, you know, some absolute gory madness, but Yeah, a little bit slower pace, say, than the sequel Aliens, which is equally as fantastic. I love that too, and I love the whole franchise. I'm even a big fan of Prometheus, and I didn't think Alien Covenant was too bad. But yeah, the original Alien, the OG, more of a horror film than anything, I'd say, but it's definitely an action film as well and a thriller. But yeah, one of the best horror movies set in space, on a spaceship. That's Alien at 20. Okay, so we're getting there. I'm trying to speed things along, as you've probably noticed. At number 19, it's another one from Dario Argento. Love this film. Classic Giallo, Deep Red, coming in at number 19. So we're getting there, you know, we're not getting far from the top 10 now. And Deep Red's so great. And the soundtrack is just absolutely amazing. Yeah. If you're a fan of like Argento's work and the music from Goblin, how can you not like the score for this film? It's just, yeah, it's something else. It's even great just to listen to when you're not watching the film. You know, if you're in the mood for a movie soundtrack. And the film's no slouch either. The film's pretty damn good. It's excellent, actually. That was an understatement saying it's pretty damn good. It's really damn good. And it's, yeah, one of the best giallos ever made. At 18, House by the Cemetery. So another film in the Fulci Gates of Hell trilogy. Yeah, I love House by the Cemetery. Dr. Freudstein's a menacing foe. It's got some really gruesome stuff in there. It's a creepy little number. The score's excellent. Yeah, I love everything about this film. And it grows on me more and more as time goes by and after more rewatches. I can rewatch this at least once a year quite happily because I think the film's that good. Coming in at 17 is a horror classic in my opinion. I love the film and it's Pumpkinhead. You probably know that from on the channel because I'm really excited about the 4K from Scream Factory. Can't wait to get it. This is a 4K scan on a Blu-ray disc they brought out when the Friday the 13th set came out a few years back. They brought a steelbook out of Pumpkinhead and did a 4K scan, but can't wait for the actual UHD of the film. It's a tale of vengeance and violence. It stars Lance Henriksen as well as one of the main characters, and you've got Pumpkinhead himself, who's just an absolute menacing creature. Yeah, big fan of Pumpkinhead. Coming in at 16 is 2003, I think it came out, or 2002, not too sure. It's either 2002 or 2003, and that's the House of Thousand Corpses from Rob Zombie. One of his masterpieces. He's got two fantastic films, this one and Devil's Rejects. Hard to decide which one's the best. I went with House of Thousand Corpses, as you saw the Devil's Rejects a little earlier in the countdown. But this film's crazy, and the end scenes where the victims are lowered into Dr. Satan's domain is just, oh, it's just madness. And yeah, I love this film. It's a classic to me. Yeah, amazing, great, like, horror film from the 2000s, one of the best. It's got some awesome characters too that he created. Yeah, a great creation there from Rob Zombie, House of Thousand Corpses. Coming in at 15 is a film that could easily be a lot of horror fans' number one. It's one of my favourite horror movies ever made. It's just I had to compile a countdown for this video. So coming in at 15 is the classic Evil Dead. I haven't got any of the other Evil Dead movies in this countdown, I'll tell you that now, but I love them all. I think they're all fantastic. My least favourite's probably actually Army of Darkness because it's overly comedic, but I still love that film as well. And I thought the series Ash vs Evil Dead was great. But anyway, you got Bruce Campbell in there and the rest of the characters. He plays Ash. He's got a take on the Deadites, and this is really creepy. And you got some scary stuff in there when the people around him become possessed and things, and it's really gory as well. It's got some great gruesome stop motion effects, animations at the end of the film, or throughout it, should I say. But yeah, I love Evil Dead from Sam Raimi, number 15. So I don't have an individual release of this film on Blu-ray, I have the set. So coming in at number 14 is one of my favourites, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Yeah, fantastic film, as good as the first film, not quite on par, but nearly as good, and it's the best sequel, I think, in the series. Love A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Don't really need to say too much about it. It's got Freddy doing his thing. He's slightly got a comedic tone in it, but it's very subtle, and he has fun with it too. Like the scene when he puts the girl through the TV. He pops out the TV with the big arms and like puts her through the screen and says, "Welcome to prime time, bitch," and stuff like that is fantastic. And that's a bit Freddy being funny and goofy, but also in a sinister way, so it works. Yeah, love A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Yeah, coming at number 14. At number 13 is Friday the 13th Part 3. It was also shot in 3D. This is the edition out of the Scream Factory box set from a few years back. This film's just great. It's so iconic because, as you know, like Jason Voorhees, he dons the infamous hockey mask for the first time. And I think the film's great too, and it's got a great final girl, great protagonist. Some hippie characters are in there who smoke, and like, yeah, it's great. Really enjoyed part 3. It's got some good like little villains in there as well, with the bikers trying to mess things up for the people at the camping area, you know, the little resort where they go to, the cabins. Yeah, I love part 3. Yeah, really fun ride. And at 12 is The Beyond. So Lucio Fulci's classic The Beyond, a masterpiece in my opinion. Fantastic, like zombie, gory, like sort of supernatural movie. Yeah, it's got elements of supernatural things in there. Yeah, this film's brilliant. I think it's Fulci's best film. I think that's the last of Fulci in this countdown, unfortunately, but it does come in at number 12, and that's great in my opinion. Any film in this top 50 is pretty phenomenal by my book, because it was really hard to do, because I could easily do like a 200 maybe. There you have it, The Beyond at 12. At 11, another modern sort of classic. Well, it's not too modern now because it was released 20 plus years ago in 1996. That's Wes Craven's Scream. Yeah, phenomenal slasher film. It reinvigorated the slasher genre at the time. I remember seeing it when I was really young. Great characters, great killer in Ghostface. Yeah, he's one of the best looking, well, I should say one of the best dressed slasher villains, one of the best dressed killers. I love the Ghostface mask. It's fantastic, and this film's brilliant. It's meta, you know, it's aware of itself, it's self-aware, and it's an absolute classic. Another entry for Wes Craven in this top 50, and how could I not put quite a few of his films in here? So top 10 time, and I'm about to reveal number 10. This is the big one, the big countdown. A lot of people thought this may have been my number 1 probably, and it will be some people's, and I love the film and it's one of my favourites, but it comes in at number 10. And that's John Carpenter's Halloween. Suspenseful classic, ignited the slasher craze for the 80s, came out in 78, I think it was, yeah. This is the 4K from Scream Factory. Yeah, it's a slasher classic, so much suspense, an absolutely phenomenal score, great acting to some degree from, like, Jamie Lee Curtis does a good job in the film. Some of the actors around her are good as well. And yeah, you know, I'm just saying about the acting because some people may think the acting's quite bad, like, but I think it's great, and I just appreciate the film as a whole. It's just an absolute classic for horror, so iconic, so memorable, and yeah, I can watch this every year as well when Halloween time comes. It's got a very autumny feel to it, and this cover's no exception, as you can see the autumn leaves. Yeah, Halloween at number. Coming in at number 9 is another masterpiece, as most of the films are in this top 10. I'd say they all are, actually, that's why they're in the top 10. George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, so much like social commentary on consumerism, and the main location of the film, with it being set at a shopping mall, is just really enjoyable to watch. The cast of characters try and make a home out of that area and like live there, and then of course the bikers come along and wreck all of that. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal zombie film, and yeah, can't go wrong with Dawn of the Dead, classic. So coming up next, and I'm about to reveal, at number 8 in the countdown, is a film that will be a lot of people's number 1. Obviously it's in my top 10, so I regard it very highly. It just didn't break into that sort of top 5 area for me. But remember, this is just my view and opinion, my favourite. So this is no way sort of like denouncing these films as being iconic, because they absolutely are. Most films in the top 50 are, and that is The Thing at number 8, starring Kurt Russell, as you can see there. Directed by John Carpenter. It's a remake of a classic sci-fi movie, and a remake that's better than the original, I'd say, as well. Yeah, the special effects are out of this world. The monster, The Thing, is just great. The way he sort of infiltrates human beings and grows inside them and mutates and transforms and uses that to enhance its organism. Yeah, love The Thing, and it comes in at number 8. And at number 7, it's George A. Romero's Day of the Dead from the early 80s. I forgot the exact year, but I love this film. I even love the score. I listen to the soundtrack as a whole quite often. It's a great soundtrack for this film, and the film's just absolutely brilliant. It's compelling. I love that it's set in an underground bunker. The villains are horrible, like Rose and the rest of them, and Steel. Yeah, they're horrible villains, the military guys, and yeah, it's fantastic. And the gore from Tom Savini is just out of this world. It's got great special effects from Tom Savini again. And I do prefer this a little bit more over Dawn. I appreciate Dawn, and it's absolutely amazing in itself. But as far as enjoyment goes, Day of the Dead's just my favourite zombie film. So there you have it, Day of the Dead at number 7. Drum roll please, and at number 6, it is an absolute behemoth of a horror film, and that is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, with a fantastic performance from Jack Nicholson, good performance from Shelley Duvall as well, supporting Jack Nicholson in this film in the supporting role. Yeah, Jack Torrance turns out to be an absolute maniac in this movie due to the haunting in the Overlook Hotel. yeah, one of the best ever made, and Stanley Kubrick did a fantastic job adapting Stephen King's story. I know apparently there's been a bit of dispute that like Stephen King doesn't actually like this film and things like that, so he remade it into a mini series in the 90s and things like that. But I don't agree with that. I think this is a classic, and I enjoy watching the film more than reading the book. Actually, I just think this film's stunning. It's a great. They really captured what it's all about, and even if the author doesn't think that, I disagree. Kind of, as much as I love Stephen King's works, I have to say that this film is just a. It's so iconic and memorable. Brilliant performance from Jack Nicholson. It's haunting, it's creepy. The woman in the room is just terrifying when she starts falling apart and melting, you know, and he's making out with her and things like that. You know, here's Johnny's a classic scene, and yeah, it's just brilliant. Number 6. Okay, so getting close now in the top 5, and The Exorcist, based on William Peter Blatty's story, his novel, which I do actually own as well. Directed by William Friedkin. Yeah, starring Linda Blair as Regan. You can tell I'm getting tired. I know there's been cuts in this video, but I actually decided to film the individual segments back to back, so I'm getting really tired. But absolute classic. It's getting a 4K in October. I know a lot of people are excited about that, as am I. Yeah, it's iconic. The Tubular Bells music's just so iconic as well. The film's regarded as one of the scariest of all time because it created a lot of hysteria, because people probably were a little bit more religious in general, maybe like back in the 70s, so they'd not seen so many things like this, so I can imagine it being quite a polarizing one at the time. But it's just a phenomenal exorcism film, and there's not been a better exorcism film. They normally sort of try to mirror it a little bit and do a sort of like poor job, if I'm honest. The Exorcist, it's got great special effects, unbeatable, best possession film ever, and as far as I can see, the newer possession films that are coming out, they're not coming close to it, and that's The Exorcist. Coming in at number 4, literally one of my favourite horror movies. I just put it a little further down on the list, but it's in the top 5. That is the original Blair Witch Project from 1999. I remember watching this as a kid and the hype behind it, and it had a fantastic marketing campaign as well, where people legitimately thought the film was real footage. It's a brilliant low budget film. They did a massive turnover. Got the fan footage genre rolling, although not being the first fan footage film ever. It was the one that set the precedent and set the benchmark for what a fan footage film should be, and it's really spooky and creepy, and it always sends a few chills down my spine if I really get into it when I watch it. Blair Witch Project at number 4. Coming at number 3 is a witchcraft giallo, absolute again, like behemoth of a film, Suspiria. Absolutely love it. It's Argento's best. I believe it's from 77. Great performances, great atmosphere. The colour palette's phenomenal, as fans of the film know. Can't beat it. The score's just haunting and mesmerising. It's a brilliant score from Goblin. Really creepy. Gets under your skin a bit, and watching it for the first time's the best. But I can still enjoy it on rewatches too. Suspiria at number 3. Yeah, one of my all-time favourites. Absolute masterpiece from Argento. It's his best film still, I think, that I've seen. There's a couple I haven't seen, but yeah, I'd go with Suspiria if I was going to pick an Argento film for somebody who's a newbie to his work. So that's number 3, Suspiria. And at number 2, another Wes Craven film in the top 50, and it's the original Nightmare on Elm Street film. Yeah, absolute masterclass in fear and like creating a franchise. I mean, the moment Wes Craven created Freddy Krueger, he'd just, you know, he was bang on the money, and he'd just created an absolute phenom of horror characters. He created one of the best horror characters ever, and that is Freddy Krueger. As he got the top spot in my horror character countdown, he just didn't get the top film, but still number 2's nothing to be you know, sneered at. Nightmare on Elm Street, it's dreamy, it's weird, it's scary. Freddy doesn't really have his comedic tone in this, although he does have some fantastic lines. Yeah, can't beat a Nightmare on Elm Street. This is an old DVD set with this first 7 films in, but the original is just so good, and the score's amazing. Really adds to the atmosphere and ambience of the film. And Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, an absolute icon was created in this movie. Wes Craven, just a masterclass in fear and horror, and yeah, he created an icon with this movie alone. So that was the top 50. Thanks for watching. We're on to the top spot now with my favourite horror film ever made. So here's my favourite horror movie. Yeah, it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original from Tobe Hooper, 1974. Leatherface and the Crazy Sawyer Family. Lots of crazy antics, twists and turns. It's a great linear horror film, as it only clocks in at about 80 minutes or so. Really straight to the point, short and sweet. I love this film. I love the atmosphere. I love the way it's made. I love the fact it was low budget. I love the fact you can feel the heat, because it was so hot in the location in Texas when they were filming this, and you can tell the cast and crew were really warm and sticky, and I just love everything about it. It's my favourite horror film. This is an old DVD. I do have the second side box, as I've shown before. That's the new 4K set from a few months ago. Yeah, this is my favourite film. Freddy Krueger's my favourite horror character. I do prefer Freddy Krueger to Leatherface, and I do even prefer Michael Myers to Leatherface, but I love Leatherface as well. He's great. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm happy to say, is my #1. As far as horror films go, this is easily like my favourite. It's one I can watch like once a year at least. You know, I'm happy, you know, I make a point of watching it once a year. I enjoy it that much. I just don't want to overdo it. So I just stick to once a year because I don't want to go overkill. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, is just, it's just great stuff. And a fun thing about the film is it's not even that gory. There's a few blood splatters and things like that. It's a little bit blood soaked, and there's some little bloody bits and cutting, you know, into skin, as you know, with the nubbins, as you know, the scene in the van. But other than that, it's not, for a film that's called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's not much guts and gore all over the place. It's very about the atmosphere and the macabre and the surreal, you know, imagery and things of the creepy like farmhouse. Obviously they picked up on the gore in the sequels, which I haven't got a problem with, but yeah, nothing beats this in my opinion. Best horror movie ever made. Absolutely love it. That's my top 50 anyway. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm out of breath now and tired because I've filmed the segments consecutively, back to back. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the top 50. I may even go and do my 100 to 50 at some point, so you can see what else would be in my sort of lists. But they're my top 50 favourites for now. It could change. I may do another one in like the future at some point, like a long time, but I may do another top 50 if things change a little bit. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.